Hey, this is Notser, and we are looking at an adjusted 0.6.3. They recently patched in a couple accuracy improvements for tiers 9 and 10 cruisers across the board. They also introduced a modifier onto the concealment module. So I'm just going to explore that, and introduce it, and then show you a game, which is in the Baltimore, as we run into a friendly. So, all tier 9 and 10 cruisers will be improving in their Sigma rating, going from a 2.0 to a 2.05, so slightly improved. Also, Concealment module will be reducing the accuracy of the dispersion on enemy shells by 5%. We have something similar in Camouflage. I believe it's 4%. I don't know if they stack. I assume they will. Everyone's going to be taking this skill up, this module. Everyone is going to be using the Concealment module. Everyone. There's not going to be anyone left using target acquisition. And if you are, that's not the right choice to... I mean, I know you feel like, oh man, well, battleships, they're not supposed to hide. They're supposed to fight. Yeah, well, if the enemy has a 5% less chance of hitting you, that sounds pretty good for a battleship, right? So it's, again, wargaming. They try to find what they feel is the identity. Clearly they feel like, and I'm putting words in their mouth, clearly they feel like battleships should not conceal themselves. They should not try to conceal themselves. That's my interpretation of them. Maybe if they take away the Citadel potential, reduce the damage they take, they'll be more aggressive, willing to show themselves. We're just not going to live in that world right now. We live in a world where American battleships like to protect themselves with concealment. We know that Concealment module is taken by a lot of battleships because it allows you to get a little bit closer to the target before you're seen. Target acquisition is just not good enough. And maybe they should make it really good. Maybe target acquisition improves your accuracy of your guns. I don't know. They need to make it competitive with Concealment. Concealment is a two-fold improvement. It improves your offense and your defense because information is the most important thing about the game. Detectability. That's why we're seeing the stupid stealth fire change. It's all about seeing the target or not seeing the target. Now, this is the Baltimore, of course. It's one of the ships that is influenced by it, and I was moving towards this enemy Akizuki. The Akizuki, of course, is very much suffering from the changes. It can't stealth fire any longer, and this particular player is playing it very poorly. Why are they playing it very poorly? They are willing to show themselves for me. I don't need to use my radar. I don't need to do any effort into that. He chose to fire at me, and he's going to be seen for 12 or 13 kilometers. This will be an easy kill for me. There's also enemy aircraft overhead, but I don't really care. There could be the potential of torpedoes incoming, and we're going to have to deal with that when it happens, but the front guns are more than sufficient to kill off the Akizuki, and the Akizuki has really no solution. I am now within his base detectability. Even if he holds his fire, he's dead. So, you're going to see more of this. You're going to see players... Oh, here we go. Okay, here's the torpedo beats. Okay, we can do it. Just a slight turn, allow it to go straight. Nice and clean, nice and clean. Very nice. Good, good, good. Professional. Very, very accurate. But you're going to see more destroyers play incorrectly than you've ever seen with this patch. I just feel that in my bones. I feel like a significant percentage of the player base, and in that regard, destroyers, don't actually understand how to play the game. They might understand firing at the target, going for the objective, using their consumables, fairly reasonable, but they don't know exactly how to play every aspect of the game. So they're going to make dumb mistakes like fire when they're barely in range and be seen easily with stealth fire because there's no window of invisibility or even just a window to break off contact quicker. That's probably the bigger issue here that people just don't recognize. Yeah, sure, it sucks that you can't stealth fire. Whatever, who cares about that? But the bigger issue is that in a destroyer versus a destroyer engagement, you can't use your improved concealment factor versus that Soviet destroyer to disengage from the engagement. You will be detected until you hold your fire for 20 seconds. You could die in 20 seconds. That Soviet destroyer does not need to do anything. The Soviet destroyer doesn't need to consider a single part of that particular gameplay. He can just fire forever. All he has to do is maneuver. But Notser, he can't play the objective like the others. Yeah, he can. Just kill off all the destroyers. That's always been the primary way to win objective. Kill off all the enemy destroyers, and then your competition is cruisers or battleships. Good luck having better concealment. Good luck having better concealment. I always try to finish off all the destroyers. The objective gameplay doesn't really start until you take out the enemy destroyers so you can manipulate the objective to your advantage. Just like I'm manipulating the islands to my advantage, I'm limiting the number of targets that can engage me, and I'm firing at the target that I have to, but obviously the enemy is trying to torpedo me, so we're going to kill it real quick. Do I notice the accuracy improvement? I don't really know. It feels better, but is feel really what you want to hear from me? Do I notice the concealment addition with the reduced chance for the target to hit me? Yeah, I guess. That's probably more obvious because they'll fire on me and the shot won't be as accurate. And I appreciate that. I just think it's too broad. I think it's helping battleships that don't need to be helped. Maybe they feel like, oh, the battleship can push forward aggressively. Okay, you have two competing ideas here. You've got Concealment, who is sort of encouraging a certain distance from the target. Plus or minus. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be aggressive, but it doesn't mean that you're all in on aggressive play, right? Target acquisition was supposed to allow you to be more aggressive around torpedoes, right? That's what I expected it, or be closer to a target, but that is not what people use it for. People don't even use target acquisition because it's just... Why? It doesn't help me in the offense and the defense, like Concealment. So Concealment is just better. It's just a better module to put on your ship. Everyone's going to do it. It's just going to be a global reduction in accuracy. I doubt very seriously that people are going to be like, oh man, my guns are more accurate. I'm going to move forward and be more aggressive. I don't think that's going to happen. I think what will happen is that it will take longer to kill people at long range. And is that a bad thing? I don't think that that's a bad thing, but that's what I predict is going to happen. So we're going to try and move ourselves into position to capture B, but also deny line of sight. The AA has to go off and kill these guys, otherwise I'm seen for forever. I noticed that the Des Moines is trying to hide behind the island, and that's great for me because he's going to deny himself line of sight. And we're just going to try and kill off the aircraft before they're a problem. Thankfully, he's missing his bombs, and you always want to select the incoming attack as your primary, change it, and then go back. You don't want to just be lazy with your target selection with AA. It is very important. I know you're like, oh, it's not important, Notser. It is very important. It's very important that you take out the incoming damage before it is a threat. It's not really as important to kill off a squadron as it's retreating. I know that's like, well, duh, but take your cursor and do it. You know, don't just sit there. Sometimes I sit there, and sometimes it's more hectic, but that's just the way it works out. So the team was able to catch B, or capture B even. I don't know where the Khabarovsk is. He's playing this wrong. He should be firing his gun, and he should be a distraction. I think he's playing it like a Japanese or an American, or a German, where you sit and smoke, you rely on others to spot for you, and that's how you do your damage. That's not what a Soviet destroyer does. A Soviet destroyer spots for his team, and he does damage. He uses his smoke for other people, or maybe as a last-ditch resort. You don't use it to actively fire from. That is not what you do. So we're lucky. We're lucky that the player is maybe not really comfortable with the Soviet destroyer line. That's not what I would expect in the future. And as the Izuma is moving off, the Zhao is coming into range. You just notice that people are more visible. You notice that you probably have to operate closer to your max range and feel comfortable hitting longer range shots because everyone is going to be detected. People don't want to move forward now that they're probably detected more often. Maybe, you know, there's a whole psychology around this. Like that Zhao, maybe the Zhao would have been more interested in remaining unhidden or stealth. And the fact that he's seen doesn't really improve his understanding that, oh, you know what, it's okay. It probably just makes him a little bit more uncomfortable. So he might make more mistakes, which would help for close range engagement. But it's also going to make him probably be a little bit more passive at times in certain scenarios that he was maybe aggressive in. And I think the best example of this could be if he was near his max detectability in 0.6.2, he was firing, you know, maybe he was detected, maybe he wasn't. But no one else was anywhere close to the 19 or 20 kilometer range of his guns, because obviously if you're going to go full stealth fire, you go full stealth fire. You don't take a half measure. Now, if he has that exact same build, 19 kilometers is an extreme range to be detected at. Extreme range. Maybe he approaches it from the standpoint, okay, I'm going to be detected. Let me limit my targets that can even fire on me to 1 or 2. So I'm going to operate closer to 16, 17, and 18 kilometers away from the target, rather than maybe 13 to 15, rely on the island and my concealment to protect me better, you know. That sounds about right to me. That sounds that someone would consider a longer range shot, and obviously it's going to be harder to hit. But for the Zhao, even for the Baltimore, I just need a couple fires and they need to stick, and it's going to be a dot fest. From my point of view, dot the target up, allow the dots to kill him. If I feel like I'm taking too much damage, just hide. Just hide. So this enemy Montana is moving forward. I am in a weird position where I have to either address the Montana or address the Des Moines. The Des Moines is on my flank. This is a mistake by me. What I probably should have done is moved back, engaged the Montana only, kept the Des Moines near my max range, and angled against the Montana. Now he wants to fire on me, of course. And now I have to turn towards the shot, avoid the shell as best I can. We take significant damage, though. I was a little too wide, and now I'm perfectly broad for the Des Moines to punish. The Des Moines will punish this extremely, extremely hard. But if we get the Montana, who took a big citadel down, I think it's worth it. And it doesn't look like he wants to look at me anymore, so I'm going to address the Des Moines, angle against him, and make it a harder time for him to pin me. Obviously, AP broadside works great. Keep the AP up. Friendlies are trying to take out the Montana. I'm just going to hopefully not hit my friendly. Thank you very much. And is the Montana trying to fire on me? Because now he sees, no, he's dead. So the Des Moines. Des Moines is firing on me. I'm moving forward slightly. I could drop off detection completely, hold my fire, but the Des Moines is moving forward. So I can't really do anything. I'm probably going to die. He switched to HE. He knows what he needs to do. I have AP because he's broadside, and now we're dead. So yes, don't put yourself in a position to be flanked. It's a really bad strategy. It's not going to work out. We did earn Confederate. I did 122,000 points of damage done. It felt pretty reasonable. That's what you would do in a Baltimore or Des Moines. You would use the islands. You would play a lot of bow on, and I would try and take out destroyers, use the objective. I didn't really need to use my radar because the Akizuki, honestly, just played it wrong. Don't ever use a consumable if you don't need to. Use it only when it's the absolute only solution to the problem. And the Des Moines takes a little bit of damage. I don't know why he's naked. How dare you take the ship out naked? She's far too beautiful to be naked. She needs a nice, classy camouflage. Maybe premium. Maybe the dispersion. But she needs a classy camouflage, my friend. And he's trying. The Shokaku, of course, is so dead. And I've played more. I still hate that they're taking out manual for tiers 4 and 5. I think it's the most boring gameplay in World of Warships. Having to use only automatic drop at tier 4 and 5 is terrible. There's 2 or 3 squadrons total. You can't address anything in smoke, so good luck with that. So yeah, by the way, we remove the disengage range for pretty much every single Japanese and American ship. Oh yeah, they're going to probably smoke more often, but you can't attack them in smoke because there's no target to target. So yeah, it's a great solution. I really appreciate that you're putting it in right now. Obviously, I think that's stupid. Obviously, I think there's going to be more smoke usage, not less, and people are just going to camp more. That's the only way they can do damage. That's the only way they can safely disengage from a 1v1 or a 2v1 or whatever. That's how I feel, and I just think it 4 and 5 are not going to be fun. We earn Confederate, 122,000 points of damage done, 2,324 base XP. Good, solid match, and it felt just fine. Felt like a solid ship. Could easily do damage, easily manipulate the islands to my advantage. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.